Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Barakaha Kwadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the Brother Ra'aya coming at you with another lesson, and I'll be profiling this video from Secular Talks' YouTube channel titled Revealed MAGA Slave Labor Camp Being Built in Utah, the Kyle Kulinski Show. You know, the title pretty much explains what the content of this video is. You know, facilities being built, you know, for, they say, the homeless. Just as, you know, you had Alligator Alcatraz, I think up in Nebraska, they were working on the Cornhusker Clink and then talking about opening up the original Alcatraz again for immigration. You know, those things are being used as the cover story for this government to come against, you know, the dissidents against it. And best believe that the main target is going to be the men of the Lord, the prophets of the Most High, chiefly of GMS or Great Millstone, as well as you brothers that are coming in the spirit of GMS, and just Israelites as a whole, because this devil knows that his time's almost up, as it says in Revelation 12, verse 12. Israel's waking up, and the prophets are prophesying this word, which, as it says in Matthew 24, verse 14, when this gospel of the kingdom is preached in the world for a witness unto all nations, then shall the end come. Esau, the so-called white man's being revealed, and he's losing his power. So he's about to get ready to make that final Hail Mary play to keep himself in power and, you know, to bring about his NW0. And as brothers from the apostles and elders all the way down to the youngest man have been saying over these many years, there's going to come that persecution, and some of us will be, you know, rounded up and thrown into these, you know, different detention centers and concentration camps, which is all in the scriptures. But as it also says, hey, if we hold firm, Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shah is going to have our back. But, you know, this is a fair use copyright disclaimer. I do not own any of the footage of this clip, nor do I stand to gain from it monetarily. It is simply for educational purposes.
All right, welcome to the show, y'all. Welcome, welcome. I hope everybody out there is having a great day today. In just a second, we're going to talk about how first there was Alligator Auschwitz, the concentration camp in Florida, and a judge shut that down. Now there's a new MAGA concentration camp being built in Utah, and I'm not kidding when I say this. It's for slave labor. It's to take the homeless people in the country this time, not immigrants, but homeless people, and to make them do forced labor. So absolutely disturbing. We'll talk about that. We also have Zoran Mamdani is apparently in the business of winning over his biggest enemies. They are, and dive right in. So let's start with this. Utah just approved a 1,300-person mega camp for homeless people, 7 miles from town, no transportation, locked units, and even forced labor. They call it work-conditioned housing. We call it what it is, modern-day internment. In this clip, Eric Tars from the National Homelessness Law Center explains how billionaire-backed...
And another thing to keep in mind, remember with the C-19 during 2019 to 2021, there was all this talk about Q zones for those that weren't feeling well to go to, you know, being built. You think those facilities that were built were just torn down? No. Hey, everything is set in place. You know, now that we're getting closer to these things taking place, hey, it's being massaged out into the public.
Policies are turning homelessness into a human rights crisis. So here we go. Shout out to the Invisible People Twitter account here. It's at Invisible People. Everybody go check them out and listen to this little clip. This is one of the most terrifying 1 minute and 23-second clips I've ever heard. Watch.
They want to put up more of these Alligator Alcatraz style mega tent sprung structure type facilities. They've got the kind of pilot project for that in Utah, where the governor has said, we are going to completely support and implement Trump's executive order. And just last week, their homelessness board, which was created by some Cicero legislation. They passed a plan for a 1,300 person megatent camp 7 miles outside of downtown in the middle of nowhere, no public transportation. 300 beds are going to be involuntarily committed, locked facilities. Another set of beds are going to be no voluntary entry or exit. It's going to be where you get sent for jail diversion. And then the rest of the beds, even though theoretically you could come and go, they're going to be actively enforcing anti-camping, anti-loitering, all these other laws. The thing that scares me the most is that they say some of these units are going to be work-conditioned housing, which to me means forced labor. And we've seen some of these other bills introduced at the state level that also have this forced labor element to them in Louisiana and West Virginia. To my eyes, I see them kicking out all the undocumented, low-paid labor from the country. Got to make up for it somewhere. Got to make up for it somewhere.
So do you understand what he's saying?
And I'll say this, what constitutes as being homeless? You know, you got a lot of people suffering during this cost of living crisis, a lot of Americans living in their vehicles, and, you know, a lot of Americans standing to lose their homes and, you know, their apartments. So homeless can be a very broad term used on a lot of people, not just that guy you see digging in a trash can, you know, in the over by the underpass.
I almost passed out from a mold reaction in my own basement. My hospital grade HEPA filter was running right next to where.
He's saying, well, they're rounding up all of the undocumented immigrants, and in many cases documented immigrants, and in many cases non-criminal immigrants, rounding them.
And that right there, you know, that whole thing with ICE, you know, is showing you that, you know, the cover story that they're using to, you know, go after people, hey, it's full of holes, and they're doing it to really just come against anybody.
You know, sending a bunch of them to El Salvador, to the slave labor camp there. That's what they did. Trump wanted to send 30,000 to Gitmo, wanted to send a bunch to Alligator Alcatraz, as we call it, Alligator Auschwitz. But, you know, kick them out, put them in Eswatini, put them in Libya and Liberia. So that's what they were doing. But what do you do in a scenario where now there's a worker shortage? Because every time this has happened, there's been a worker shortage. We have fucking, like, fields of crops that aren't being picked because of this worker shortage. We're told, oh, you know, Americans will come and they'll take all those jobs, and I don't know what you're talking about. Of course they'll fill those shoes. And then they don't. And then they don't. We've had experience with this with Alabama. Similar thing happened there. They did a massive crackdown and self-deportation type thing, and then you didn't have Americans fill those jobs. So those people are gone, and then now you have a shortage of labor, and what he's describing here is, what if they went around, rounded up all of the homeless people, forced them against their will into these massive concentration camps, and then forced them to do work, effectively slave labor. I mean, it sounds crazy, it sounds extreme, but it also is par for the course when talking about this government. I mean, guys, they're arming and funding a genocide in Gaza. We've seen them, you know, all the horrible pictures and videos of children being sniped in the face and hospitals and schools being bombed. So that's not beneath them. They're willing and able to do that. We're seeing them blow up innocent fishermen off the coast of Venezuela in the Caribbean. A bunch of Venezuelan boats, but also a boat from Trinidad and Tobago, a boat from Colombia. So starting illegal wars. You got that going on as well. What makes you think they're above this? And then the other thing is they'll fucking brush it up and pretend that, oh, we're just doing everybody a favor by getting the homeless off the streets. We're helping the homeless out. We're getting them off the streets. Should everybody be happy? There's no more, no more encampments. No more open-air drug use and stuff like that. So everybody should be happy. Right wing, left wing, everybody in between. We're cleaning up the streets. But how you do it matters, right? And that's the part that they're going to hide the nature of the reality here, which is they're going to round up these people and use them for forced labor and send them to this concentration camp, which is already being built. So this should scare the shit out of everybody. It should also scare the shit out of everybody that we've seen NSPM 7. We've seen what their crackdown is on Antifa, right? They say it, not me. They say we're going to go after anti-Americanism and anti-capitalism and anti-Christianity and extremism on migration and race and gender. All these things. It's basically a fancy way of saying, if you disagree with us, if you disagree with MAGA, if you're left-wing, well, then you're the enemy. And we're going to...
And hey, we're going to get rounded up, in that whole thing, being put under the label of somebody who's, anti-American, anti-patriotic, enemies of the state, all that. That's going to be a big dragnet, which, what did Yahushua say in Luke 22:37? For I say unto you that this that is written must yet be accomplished in me, and he was reckoned among the transgressors, for the things concerning me have an end. When Yahushua was put on trial, who was he next to? Barabbas, a rebel. And then when he was crucified between two, criminals. So, he was being associated with rebels and criminals. He was reckoned or numbered amongst the transgressors, as what's his name? Kyle Kalinske just said. They're saying it's for homeless, but what about those that are labeled Antifa or on the left or anti-American or patriotic or MAGA or anything like that? They could very well and will be, rounded up and thrown into these different facilities. And as we just read, Yahushua was reckoned amongst the transgressors, and we're going to be reckoned amongst the transgressors as well, labeled under one of these things so they can be further justified in coming against us. As it says in John chapter 15, the servant is not greater than his master. If, try not to paraphrase it, if they have hated me, they shall hate you. And, pretty much, the things that I have suffered, expect to suffer the same.
Spy on you. We're going to take away your rights. We're going to investigate you. We're going to shake you down. We're going to do these fucking harassment campaigns. And so, who's to say they won't start putting political opponents in there? Especially now, there are no due process rights anymore. ICE goes around and they round up whoever they want. No due process whatsoever. No habeas corpus whatsoever. So, if they can do that to somebody who they claim is an undocumented immigrant, all they have to do is say, you are too, and they can put you wherever the fuck they want to put you. So, you got these camps that are being built. And people should be sounding the fucking alarm about this, because this is par for the course with what they want to do. And the other thing is, they might start doing, oh, we're going to send trans people there for re-education, if you will. That, being trans is a degenerate thing. It's not real, and they were brainwashed into it. So we're gonna fix them. We're gonna get them out of that, right? Like, there's all these things that are now on the table that previously you would have thought, no way this would happen in this country. Well, now it's happening. Now all of it is happening. And so, very, very disturbing stuff. And I think this is just the beginning. I think that in the...
Hey, and he's right on the money with that. As it says in Matthew 24, verse 8, all these are just the beginning of sorrows. It's only getting worse going forward. But that's it with this video. But Revelation chapter 2, verse 10, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil, that deceiver, Esau, Edom, more specifically the elites, shall cast some of you into prison. Alligator, Auschwitz, forced labor camps up in Utah, the literal Alcatraz, all these different facilities that they've been setting up and have set up. So right here, it's straight up telling you that, some of us will be cast into prisons, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days, which just means a complete amount of tribulation for whatever your lot is. Be thou faithful unto death, because some of us will be martyrs as well, and I will give thee a crown of life. Our duty is to endure everything like a good soldier of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua to the bitter end, whatever it may be, so we can ultimately be of that elect number and be of that first fruits receiving that crown of life. But as remember, it said, fear none of those things. No matter how it looks, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua will have our backs, through thick and thin. But I'm going to close it out in 2nd Esdras chapter 16 in the Apocrypha. I'm going to start at verse 70. For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord, the children of Israel, known as the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans today. And while the main target is going to be, those that know they're Israelites because they want to get the elect, Esau, the so-called white man, is coming down on the entire nation. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. And hey, if you get cast out of your house, what does that make you? Homeless. Like I said earlier, saying that these are made for homeless people, that can, include a wide range of people. Then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as the gold in the fire. Hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Lord. Behold, the days of trouble are at hand, when the devil shall cast some of you into prison. But I will deliver you from the same. Hey, be thou faithful unto death, if that's your lot. But hey, a lot of us, there are going to be a lot more that are not martyrs than there are martyrs in the truth. But regardless, wherever the chips fall for you, hey, endure those things. Hear, O ye my beloved, I will deliver you from the same. Verse 75, be ye not afraid, neither doubt, for the Most High is your guide. Point blank, period. This is where we're going to have big faith out here in Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, that though the bad times are coming, what comes after it? The salvation, the kingdom of heaven. So that's it with this video. With this video, I hope you sincere, Akim and Akwath, were edified. Just keep strong. We are almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babol, Kwam Yasharallah, and until next time, Shalom.